For your final project, you will read or listen to the short story, The Gift of the Magi. You will also need to learn about the author of the story. The author's pen name or his nickname is O. Henry. You're going to read the text below to learn about O. Henry, then be sure to add what stood out to you about O. Henry in the text box for points toward your grade. Please note that you must click the blue button titled Start Assignment to view and edit the text box. William Sidney Porter, his pen name was O. Henry. He was born September 11th, 1862, and he died on June 5th, 1910, at the age of 47 years old. O. Henry was an American writer who wrote short stories. His real name was William Sidney Porter. He was known for writing stories with clever word use, humor, and surprise endings that no one expected. Like many writers, O. Henry tried different jobs before he found his true talent as a writer. He started working at his uncle's drugstore in 1879 and became a pharmacist at the age of 19. While working at the pharmacy, he would draw pictures of people who came to the store. The customers liked his drawings and thought he was very talented. O. Henry moved to Texas in March of 1882 to try to get rid of a bad cough. He lived on a sheep ranch where he learned to take care of sheep, cook, watch children, and picked up some Spanish and German words from the farm workers. He had lots of friends in Austin and was good at playing music, especially the guitar and mandolin. Over the next few years, Porter, as people called him then, worked many different jobs, including as a pharmacist, drawing maps, writing for newspapers, and working at a bank. This is where his life got complicated. He wasn't very good at his bank job and made mistakes with the money. He got fired and was accused of stealing money in 1894. His wife's father paid to keep him out of jail temporarily, but O. Henry ran away before his trial in 1896. He went first to New Orleans, then to Honduras, where American police couldn't arrest him. In Honduras, he became friends with Al Jennings, a famous train robber, who later wrote a book about their friendship. O. Henry sent his wife and daughter back to Texas and stayed in a hotel where he wrote his first book of short stories, Cabbages and Kings, which was published in 1904. When he learned his wife was very sick with tuberculosis, he went back to Austin and turned himself in. His wife died in 1897, and he went to prison in Ohio for 5 years from 1898 to 1902. In prison, he worked as a pharmacist and stayed in the hospital area instead of a regular cell. O. Henry always loved reading good books. While trying different jobs, he started writing for fun. After losing his bank job, he moved to Houston in 1895 and wrote for a newspaper called The Post. He made $25 per month when most people made about $300 a year. To get ideas for his stories, he would sit in hotel lobbies and watch and talk to people. He used this trick throughout his writing career. His own interesting life, including his travels and time in prison, gave him lots of ideas for his stories with surprising endings. O. Henry's best writing years started in 1902 in New York City, where he wrote 381 short stories. He wrote one story every week for the New York World Sunday magazine for over a year. His book Cabbages and Kings got its name from a poem by Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland. The stories in this book took place in a Midwestern American town where all the stories connected in clever ways. His second book of stories, The 4 Million, came out in 1906. These stories happened in New York City, and the title came from how many people lived there at that time. This book had several of his best stories, including The Gift of the Magi and The Cop and the Anthem. O. Henry clearly loved New York City and all its different kinds of people and places. O. Henry was famous for his clever surprise endings and how he wrote about people solving tricky problems in creative ways. His most famous story, The Gift of the Magi, shows this perfectly. It's about a young married couple who want to buy each other Christmas presents but don't have much money. The way they solve this problem is both touching and funny. The Cop and the Anthem is about a homeless man in New York City who comes up with an interesting way to deal with cold winter streets. Another story, A Retrieved Reformation, is about a man who used to break into safes and just got out of prison. His life changes in an unexpected way while he's trying to be good or maybe planning another crime. The Ransom of Red Chief is about two kidnappers who take a really badly behaved boy, but the boy causes so much trouble that things don't go as planned. All of O. Henry's short stories are fun to read, whether you're reading them for fun or studying them in school. In 1952, famous actors Marilyn Monroe and Charles Laughton starred in a movie called O. Henry's Full House. This movie showed 5 of O. Henry's short stories, including The Cop and the Anthem, The Clarion Call, The Last Leaf, and The Ransom of Red Chief, and The Gift of the Magi. Sadly, O. Henry had problems with drinking too much alcohol. By 1908, he was very sick and couldn't write as much. He died in 1910 because of liver disease, diabetes, and heart problems. His funeral was in New York City, but he was buried in North Carolina, where he was born. He was a very talented story writer who left us many great stories to enjoy.